But quite a treat for you today. We're going to be talking about a practical cybersecurity program that you can build or you should build for your own MSP or for your SMBs. MSP World is CyberHoot is a platinum sponsor of MSP World, and we're excited to be here. And the interesting thing about CyberHoot is we've been around for 5 years, but we just won Startup of the Year as we rebranded and have brought a bunch of different services online. So it's going to be an interesting time for us, and we're really excited to be here as a sponsor of this wonderful program. And though it's virtual, I really missed going to New Orleans, as many of you might have, but it is what it is. It's COVID times and it's our new normal. So let's get started. So cybersecurity is very similar to the emperor having no clothes on when it comes to the SMB or the business owners that you deal with in your MSP life. Most MSP owners, most SMB owners know that cybersecurity is a problem, but they don't know what they don't know. And so we're going to cover a bunch of that today, and hopefully, maybe it's old hat to many of you, but what we typically are able to accomplish with CyberHoot and the businesses that enroll in it is that companies, owners, employees begin to learn how exposed they are online, and then they also learn the simple things they can do to protect themselves from compromise, how to easily spot phishing attacks, for example, or the importance of password hygiene. Those two topics in particular, we're going to go into some real-world examples today near the tail end of our presentation. So the next 45 minutes we want to accomplish the following. Who am I and why am I here? Why should you listen to me? Why are you here? What can you get out of this? What is this cybercrime problem that we're all dealing with? What should you do about it? I'm going to go over a couple of real examples around phishing attacks, passwords, and the shocking truth about how many passwords are exposed online today. We're going to bring Tim Martin in from Neoscope to talk about one MSP's experience and with CyberHoot and how it's helped them accomplish many of their goals as an MSP. And we'll go into what those are and what the problems they face. And Tim will spend a few minutes talking to all of us about what we had. So who's Craig? Why am I here, and what gives me the expertise to talk to you? Well, I've been in cybersecurity for over 25 years. In other words, the internet, as we all know it with the World Wide Web, didn't exist when I started in cyber back in the mid-90s. And so I'm pretty old, been doing this a long time, seen a lot of things, and I've worked for a lot of companies. Back in 1996-7, I worked for an MSP called Venture Computer Systems in Rochester, Minnesota. I was their security lead. Then I went to Secure Computing, where there was a firewall vendor. We put firewalls in all kinds of interesting places, like even nuclear submarines. I spent 15 years managing the security program of their cloud environment, then called web hosting, and had companies like DuPont, Bose, Citizens Bank, a variety of other big names to secure and to be accountable to for the cybersecurity program we had to keep people out of there, the bad guys out and let the good guys in. After CSC, I went to Vistaprint, was a global manufacturer of business cards and business paraphernalia for your businesses, and was able to work with them as a international manufacturing firm. Chase Payment Tech in their credit card merchant underwriting, and most recently with another MSP like all of you, Neoscope, and they're here to talk about it with us today. Finally, 6 years ago now, I founded CyberHoot and have built this tool, a multi-tenant tool that we'll get a little exposure to today, but this is more educational than anything else. But this tool was built by Neoscope and my development company to serve the purposes of the MSP community. So it wasn't a bolt-on later on that we said, oh, we should have multi-tenancy, we should do these different things that MSPs are asking for. We started with the MSP. What do you need from a cybersecurity perspective for awareness training, for governance, phish testing, all of that? And we built it first, tested it, and we've really just opened it up to the MSP community in the last 12 months. Thus, the Startup of the Year award and the IT Bronze World Startup of the Year. So a couple of awards we've won this year. Ask yourself these questions as an MSP owner or an employee. Do you face growing cybersecurity attacks in frequency, complexity, in damage? Do you need to differentiate yourself from other MSPs through something? Perhaps cybersecurity could be one of those. Are you constantly looking to add client value to your relationship with your clients? Are you looking to grow your monthly recurring revenue, reduce client attrition, reduce staff burnout? All of these things matter, and CyberHoot helps you achieve peace of mind by addressing these other issues. Let's talk about why cybersecurity is so front and center in all of our lives today. These are the 4 or 5 different groups that are attacking us. We're going to give you a little bit of a baseline on cybersecurity. There's script kiddies from the 1980s film War Games. You've seen them. They're out there to hack for fun and notoriety. There's organized crime that represent over 50% of the attacks in the latest. 2017 is a year old, but it's gotten worse since that time. Organized crime is responsible for a lot of the attacks, as they find they can attack with impunity online than in the physical world. And they're hacking for money, of course. Nation states are hacking for global advantage. Hacktivists, of course, are probably looking to influence our election that's coming up in, I guess, 30, 40 days. And finally, there's insiders. Insider threats are real. They're not all malicious, though. Keep in mind that accidents by insiders can lead to breaches. And so there's a 28% threat from insiders, both through accidental publication of data and purposeful sale of data online. What are these hackers trying to do to us? It's important for you to know how to protect yourself. Sun Tzu in The Art of War told us or taught us to know what our enemy is up to. So let's take a look at what they're trying to install. First and foremost is ransomware. We know that ransomware continues to evolve. It used to be that you could just back up your data, restore your data in a ransomware event, never pay the ransom, and off you go. Today, ransomware exfiltrates or steals your data online and threatens to publish it. So if you're a healthcare provider, you might have no choice but to pay the ransom to avoid the exposure of 500 or more health records. That could be really devastating. Remote access Trojans to gain access to your network. They're trying to get you to install one of those through their phishing attacks and malicious websites. Bot networks, keyloggers, mobile device malware. All of those things are what hackers are seeking to install on our systems to compromise our network, to steal our data, to extort money from us. Who is being attacked most often? This is a sobering statistic that I like to bring up with my MSPs, because your MSP, I would say 90% of MSPs, if not more, are less than 100 employees. Now, you might have quite a few MSPs less than 10 employees as well, but if you're in that 10 to 100 employee size, your business, your SMB, small to medium-sized business, is 15 times more likely to be attacked. Others put it in a growing trend that's sort of peaked around 60 to 70% of the attacks are against SMBs over the last 10 years. So why is it that an SMB or an MSP is attacked so often? There's a bunch of different reasons for this. If we were in the same room, I'd have you put your hands up. So if you'd like, you can type it in the chat. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to whip through these items. Time is the first one. How much time does an SMB owner have to spend on security? And if they did, would they know what to do? How much money do they have? I've worked at multinationals. I've worked at a bank where they spent as much money as it took to eliminate risks, right? But as an SMB owner, you don't have unlimited funds. You really have to be careful with what you invest in. And sometimes cybersecurity tools, technologies, and programs suffer because there's not enough money spent on them. Your experts that you hire are not expert in cyber. You can graduate from any Ivy League school today and have no training, zero training on cybersecurity, on password hygiene, on two-factor authentication, on spotting and deleting phishing attacks. It's really quite tragic. If you Google me and you look for the word curriculum is a school necessity, Craig Taylor, you'll see I wrote an article 3 or 4 years ago saying schools, our educational institutions, need to add to the reading, writing, arithmetic, cyber security skills, because we all use computers. We all have to protect ourselves personally and professionally, and this stuff needs to be learned. Security staff. How many SMBs or even MSPs have a information security person on staff whose job it is to look after cybersecurity, to make sure things are secured? Not many. And then when you have these novice employees, no staff, no time or money spent on it, it's quite obvious that you're not doing awareness training in many cases. And that's really fundamentally what isn't being done that should be done, is creating awareness in your employees. The last thing that, and in this particular last slide pertains to MSPs first and foremost, is what you have access to makes you a target. Both the Secret Service, the FBI have released news articles or warnings in the last 12 months saying MSPs are under attack because they're a backdoor into all of their clients' environments. If you look at the Target breach from 2015, I think it was, the HVAC vendor that was attacked directly was attacked not because they had a plethora of data, but because they had a remote VPN into every Target store in the country. And the hackers went through the HVAC vendor into the stores, rewrote the point of sale software, and stole 70 million credit cards. The rest is history. So it's what you have access to. And as an MSP, you're heavily targeted and you need to prepare accordingly. So what do you need to have in a cybersecurity program? We're just going to give you a thumbnail sketch of it, and then we'll get into two real world training examples to give you the fundamental knowledge you need to make decisions on why you would want to invest in a CyberHoot or any other training and learning management system. So if a picture's worth 1,000 words, this is it. If you build a program and you cover these things, you're going to be in good shape. You need policies to govern your employees. You need to train your employees on both the policies, the technologies, but also the attacks that they're facing, phishing, password hygiene. You need to have privacy compliance with your updated CCPA for California or GDPR if you work internationally, but you need good privacy on your language on your website. Cyber insurance for when there's a critical event to bail you out. And finally, risk management framework as the foundation. So you know what are the threats, vulnerabilities, risks that you face, and which are most egregious so that you can tackle those first. That's it in a nutshell. Put into words, it looks a little bit like this. Perform a risk assessment, deploy policies, train people, technology like 2FA, two-factor authentication, password managers, AV, spam, DNS, VLAN, segregation, new privacy requirements, and cyber insurance. All of those things should be part of any MSP's operations. When you look to guide, train, monitor, and test, CyberHoot can help you with that by managing the policies that you would put to your employees or that you would put to your clients. Many MSPs sell the service of developing a written information security policy or password policy or information handling, any of these policies. And actually, CyberHoot has ready-made Word templates that you can download in Word, search and replace, follow a couple of highlighted sections that you have to fit to the client, and then publish to that client. And you can charge them a fee for this and fully manage it, as you see here, through the web interface of CyberHoot, which manages how often the policies are renewed, their effective dates, who they apply to, and so on. Videos are the same thing. You want to train your employees on those attacks, on the technology, and on the policies. You can do that through CyberHoot here. And here's a screenshot of the video compliance of one of the clients and some of the typical training videos that get assigned. CyberHoot also does one other thing that's really interesting, and it monitors the dark web for exposed accounts. And you can report that. You can bring new business. You can go out to a new business meeting, or virtual or real, And you can show that business owner or that person you're meeting with just how many times their email account's been exposed online. If you go to cyberhoot.com and scroll 3/4 of the way down today, you don't have to purchase CyberHoot to do this. We provide this service, and we encourage you to sell cybersecurity education through this model of showing how many breached accounts are there. It's kind of a sales enablement strategy. All right, phishing is important. You know, the old saying from President Reagan, which he co-opted an old Russian phrase that is trust but verify. You train your employees, but you can't just trust that they won't click on a phishing attack. You need to test them. Of course, CyberHoot does that. Here's one client example. This was a baseline, but it was pretty bad. We had to go in and immediately do some training because 22% of their employees entered their username and password into the attack. The email was sent, it was opened, it was clicked on, and then data submitted. This is probably the worst results I've ever seen. And this is the dashboard in a nutshell. This is the Neoscope view for their users, policies, videos, training, exposed accounts. That's what you can expect to see in the CyberHoot environment. So let's go into 2 real-world tests or trainings. We're going to talk about weak passwords and why they matter. We're going to talk about phishing attacks, give you an example there. And this is real-world examples and facts that you can use to consider having conversations with your clients over the need to do awareness training, over the need to put a cybersecurity program in place, even within your own MSP to adopt some of the things you're seeing today for yourselves to protect yourselves from a compromise. It's very important. So let's talk passwords first, hygiene, do's and don'ts. In 2003, NIST really messed up by recommending people adopt 9-character complex 90-day passwords. It made everybody cheat. We all use our first favorite 3 root passwords. We add a little randomness or predictable things on the prefix or the suffix, and it leads to more breaches than anything else. That's such bad advice that they switched it in 2017. Don't ever share your password with anyone. Treat it like your toothbrush. You wouldn't share that. Don't share your password, right? Don't write passwords down. Don't use common things that people know from your social media profiles for your password. This is quite common that we walk in, we do assessments as an MSP. I've seen this countless times. Don't do that. And don't use the same password for everything every different account. Someone's shoulder surfing, or if it's breached on a line on a website, hackers will have access to your favorite password. So you have to have unique passwords everywhere you go. To really reinforce this, let me show you a test. Pull out your phone or open up another browser. Don't leave the conference here, but open up Have I Been Pwned? Google that, Have I Been Pwned? P-W-N-E-D. Uh-oh, we went all the way back here. Let me fix that. I can get back there in a heartbeat. I don't know why that went all the way to that slide. So you're going to open up Have I Been Pwned, and you're going to do a real-world test of your email address. Here we go. Have I Been Pwned? If I ran that, for me, first of all, I've been using this site for about 5 or 6 years. We've seen in 2015, May, there was 1,300,000,000 accounts or breached accounts. And you can see the types of accounts that were breached. LinkedIn had a breach, Tumblr, some of them have gone away, some of them are still around. MySpace, who has a MySpace account anymore, right? 1.3 billion. At this site, you can subscribe to be notified when a new breach is identified with your email address in it, personal or professional. And this is an example that I subscribed my personal email to, and I was able to see that I was exploited in this site called exploit.ln, which is probably a clearinghouse of breaches from other places. I have more than 15, I think my last count was 17 times my personal email's been breached. I don't worry about it anymore because every password's unique and I change them when they get breached. And so I'm not really that exposed. Today, though, we've gone over 1,000% growth since 2015 to 10 billion accounts in that. And keep in mind, people, this is an important point. These are publicly disclosed breaches. People like myself and other security researchers we believe there's probably 10 times as many breached accounts floating around on the dark web that aren't publicly disclosed. So this number is maybe 100 billion. Who knows? It's just enormous. That's why we have such a strong feeling, and security researchers recommend one technology in particular to protect yourself. I would ask you this. Ask yourself, if I have, the average person has about 40 accounts. Last I counted, and I've been around a long time, I have over 400 accounts. How are you going to keep unique, long and strong passphrases and keep them, understand what they are in all of these different accounts? You really can't. So the answer to this is, it's not just too hard to remember, it's impossible. So what do? Do what the experts say and adopt a password manager for yourself personally and professionally. The good news is Dashlane, 1Password, LastPass, these are all free for personal use. Now I understand LastPass is a titanium sponsor of the MSP world. They've just released a really cool new adjunct to their product, which is an MSP flavor of it with a multi-tenant portal. So you can actually manage the LastPass deployment at all of your clients without having to have a dedicated account like I have on many of my clients through Neoscope. I have a dedicated local account in their LastPass tenancy. That's no longer needed in their newest release, which I think is why they're titanium sponsors of this conference. Okay, phishing. We're going to get into phishing, and then we're going to tidy up and bring Tim Martin on in just a few slides. So I want to ask you folks, and this is really where we get audience participation. So in the chat on the right, I'm going to ask you to type in what you see and what you know to be an indicator of a phishing attack, when you can see a legitimate and a phishing attack side by side. So let's go. On the left, this is a phishing attack. On the right, we have a real email that I've received. I no longer live here, so I don't mind sharing a little personal information from Amazon. So in the chat, can anybody type in their answers on what they see over here as a dead giveaway that this is a phishing attack? The sender email address, that's from Zibian. Zibian, admin@accesssecure.onmicrosoft.com. Is Amazon ever going to email you from some other address? Hell no. So perfect. That's an absolute truth. Anyone else? Come on, folks. I know you're out there. You've seen these phishing attacks before. Who can give me the dead giveaways? Hover over the link. Okay, so I did that artificially. If I hover over this link, it goes to HTTP, so it's not encrypted, bit.ly/pwpup. So this is a obfuscation technique that hackers use to hide the destination that you're going to get to when you click on the link. Now, would Amazon ever do that? Correct. Impossible. You hover over here, you see Amazon.com. So check the links by hovering, not clicking. Absolutely true. I have another one in the to line, the hidden AOL address. So I stole this image off the internet. This is not one that I came upon directly. So I hid the email address of the sender, or who is targeted here. But so who the to is, it's probably going to have to be you if you got the email. So that's probably not going to be a giveaway. But an AOL address, yeah, that's an old one. Does anyone use AOL still? How many CDs or did they send out? I was old enough. I know I had probably a stack of coasters. That's what we used to use them for. Okay, in the interest of time, right, the ship address isn't correct because the name, yes. So there's another one. Someone correctly pointed out this ship to address is not capitalized. There's spelling and grammar. That brings us to the time where I'm going to inject and say, here's what you should be looking for. The order line did not say what I purchased, and they will always tell you what you purchased. The customer, hello customer, is a generic greeting, but they always will tell you your name. They'll say, hello, Craig, or Craig Taylor, thanks for buying this, right? The most important thing is that any phishing attack you ever received is unexpected. In this case, I didn't order anything. Even if I got a phishing attack like this and they had this email in it, I wouldn't have ordered anything. Maybe my children ordered something. So it's unexpected. There's spelling, grammar, and punctuation mistakes, which is critical. If you do not order this item, please cancel this purchase, space, comma, then we will take action for the security of your account, and there's no period. So there's grammar, punctuation mistakes. An interesting one that I didn't see at first, but someone picked out, was that this is an order processing for the order I must have picked out or purchased today. The date on this email is July 16th, and the delivery date is July 16th. That seems to be a little difficult, if you want my honest opinion, right? And then hovering over the links. All of that makes perfect sense to me as to why this is a phishing attack. Some other people have said they didn't advertise other products to you, and that's something unique to Amazon. They never miss a beat trying to sell you something else. So that's true. That's a good one. So I've codified this into a set of questions to ask yourself. If you ever have that feeling in your gut that, hey, this email doesn't look right, but I can't ignore it because it seems important, and how do I know? So ask yourself these questions. And if you answer yes to two or more questions, then you're probably being phished, and delete it. The worst that can happen is someone has to email you again, and it's not a big deal. So was the email unexpected? Was it urging critical action or someone to log into something? Was it addressed generically when they actually do know your name? Was it from the wrong sender? Remember that hover over or who sent it? Now, many times they hide the sender and they put a legitimate name, but you have to hover over the sender to see what the actual sender is, just like the hyperlink. So don't be afraid to hover your mouse over the sender name, because it might look perfectly legitimate, but be sent and hidden who actually sent it. Is it full of grammar, spelling, or punctuation errors? Does it contain bad or wrong embedded links, hidden links, like the bit.ly link? Does it have an enticing or voyeuristic attachment? Recently, these hacking folks, lowlifes I would call them, have been sending out notices that say, you, my friend Craig, have been exposed to COVID, reported by a friend of yours. We need to do contact tracing. Download this form to fill out so we can properly secure and ensure the safety of your loved ones. How despicable, and yet how effective is that as a way to get malware down onto my computer to compromise my machine? And then if you answer yes to two or more of these, you really need to think about deleting it. Okay, if you partner with us, we provide you things like this. This is a mouse pad. In fact, I have one right on my desk here. It looks just like that. It's got the Neoscope logo on it and their tagline. And hopefully your clients as MSPs will look at the mouse before they click and say, oh, wait a minute, it's unexpected. And who's the sender again? Oh, shoot, I'm being phished, delete, and not get him, not cause a scramble on a Friday afternoon to restore from a ransomware attack. And, all of our clients can get these things done up for them and handed out with their tagline, their customer logo, whatever you would like. These are resources that we make available. And with that, is Tim Martin on? Has he been able to join the call? I'm trying to see if Tim's here. One second, because Tim is the owner of an MSP Neoscope, and I'm not sure if he's on the, was able to connect. He's actually on vacation. Oh, wait, there he is.
Can you hear me okay?
Can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
Tim felt it was important enough to join this MSP World Conference to talk about his experience with CyberHoot, that he's interrupting his vacation with his wife. He's on the road. And Tim, I can't thank you enough for being here.
Happy to be here. Can you hear me now?
We still can't hear you. There's a gear cog icon at the top where you can select your sound. We had tested this earlier in the week, folks. Oh, we can. Okay, go ahead.
Testing. Hello, hello.
You're good, Tim.
So you can hear me now. Craig, can you hear me?
Might be a problem on my side. Let me fix the speakers on my end. Tim, can you say something?
Testing 1, 2.
Perfect. The problem was on my end. Sorry, guys.
Hey, we got it.
Okay. So go ahead, Tim. Did you give your overview of the company?
No, I'll start there. So like everyone else, I'm sure on this call, I'm an MSP owner. I started the company as a pure MSP from day one back in 2006. We're about a $3 million a year top line revenue company. About 70% of that is recurring revenue. We have about 12 to 15 employees and probably about 40 to 50 clients everywhere from Boston to Portland, Maine, and everywhere in between.
Great. All right. You were going to talk next about what life was like before CyberHoot, maybe 5 years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we were averaging probably 2 to 3, sometimes more cybersecurity incidents a month. Anything from ransomware to all kinds of breaches. I would say mostly ransomware. Our technicians were doing a lot of firefighting. They were getting stressed out. Clients were unhappy. And then Craig and I crossed paths, which was a great shift for the company. And that's when we decided we're going to make a move towards becoming cybersecure ourselves and bringing enterprise security to the small and mid-sized businesses that we support. So a couple things that it did for us, right out of the gate, it definitely added to our managed recurring revenue. We probably added about 20% per contract in recurring revenue. It definitely put us in front of our clients more often. So by having the cybersecurity awareness training, they were being exposed to Neoscope via CyberHoot on a regular basis. It's probably the most frequent comment I hear from my clients when I meet with them is some type of a comment about the training, just how valuable it is to them. But yeah, we were experiencing all sorts of stuff, prior to implementing our cybersecurity stack. And I would say in the 5 years that we've rolled it out to our clients, I can't think of a breach that we've had other than clients that didn't implement our cybersecurity stack. And those folks that would have a breach shortly thereafter would be very quick to implement our stack and our training.
So you've had a pretty good experience with it. Your clients are stickier, would you say, Tim?
Absolutely.
When they're on
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, just the attrition has gone way down. I think people obviously get frustrated. Cybersecurity incidents aren't exciting or fun for anyone involved. So since we've reduced those incidents, we have had a much happier client base, and again, a client base that we have a lot more touches with.
And is cybersecurity, does it keep you up at night anymore, Tim?
Not me, no, and not most of our clients, which is great. I think the ones that have not adopted, I'd say we probably have about a 70% adoption rate with a stack. So that other 30%, I'm still sort of losing some sleep for those guys. But once we get them rolled over and we're at 100%, I'll sleep a little bit better.
Fantastic. So, folks, on the webinar here, we have 10 minutes left. I think we want to review briefly and then go right to question and answer so that you can ask Tim any questions that you might have as an MSP owner and a user of the product. So from a review, we're all facing cyber attacks. You need a low-cost cyber program to help with that, to do training. There's a lot of unique and interesting and obvious benefits to awareness training. Neoscope did it. They took it from, all these attacks monthly to no attacks. In how many years, Tim, now? Have you had any ransomware breaches? I know we were talking about this earlier.
Been at least 5 years since we've had an attack.
5 years, that's a long time. I know we've had some on the non-CyberHoot clients. So just to be clear,
Right.
but we the ones that adopted it have been it's pretty rapid before they stop clicking on phishing links, because we do a lot with the phishing training, and then we move into password hygiene. So let's open it up to questions and answers. Who has a question for Tim or for me? Oh, you can't hear me.
Oh, that was from earlier.
Might be. Oh, okay. So folks can hear me now? Okay, good. If you want to put a chat question in, or you can unmute yourself, I'm not sure. Is CyberHoot a part of a bigger cyber program offering? So that's a Zibian question. So Neoscope hired me as a Chief Information Security Officer to look at all of the different things they do within their product offerings for their clients. So for instance, we've all been migrating people off of Exchange servers and into O365. And I looked at that with Neoscope engineers to make sure that we enabled two-factor authentication on those tenancies. And we looked at all the different programs, whether it was our Mimecast or Reflection, Sophos Reflection, spam filters, everything else. So to answer you, you can't just do awareness training as an MSP. You actually have to look inward at yourself and say, are we doing all the best practices that we should be in our MSP to protect ourselves, because we're under attack a lot. And a lot of that can come from the training you get in CyberHoot, where it says adopt a password manager. Neoscope uses LastPass, has used it for 5 years. They don't worry about passwords anymore, and they have unique ones. And we can actually see that and prove that. Another question. I came in late, my apologies. So how does this work? We send the customers to CyberHoot, we make a markup. What's the process? Okay, no, this wasn't answered already, Donnie, no problem. What we've done with CyberHoot, Tim, you started out selling it. We started out selling it to every client because we had existing MSP agreements. And we had about 35% adoption. I'd say 7 to 10 of the 40 or so clients adopted it and paid for it outright. The rest said, no, I don't want it. And then what was the migration to after that, Tim? You decided, you had, I don't know when it was, a few years ago, you baked it in. What was your decision point there?
Yeah, so we started off with a separate product that we called the Neoscope Shield that included CyberHoot and about 3 or 4 other layers of protection for our clients. Once we found that there were among our, did that in with our managed services. Now, any client that comes on board, we've built in the COD CyberHoot in our stack that we sell.
Gotcha. Okay. And so now any client that comes on board gets it as part of their environment. And what happens, to Donnie's question, is that the CyberHoot logo is very, very minuscule on the email communications, on the training, and it's really Neoscope front and center that gets all the credit for all of the training. The URL is neoscope.cyberhoot.com, where everyone does their passwordless training. They get an email request that comes in, and Donnie, you can go to our booth, and we've got someone there now that can talk to you about this. He wants to do it now. That's great. We'd love to see that. But you can embed it. You can send the emails out. They come from Neoscope. There's Neoscope branding and all the messaging. And really, CyberHoot's just powered by CyberHoot, and Neoscope gets all the credit. There is a question in the Q&A section, so let me go to that. Tim, what made you choose CyberHoot over other solutions? What made it a good fit for Neoscope? That's Crystal Day Villanueva.
Yes, so the biggest thing for us was the fact that it's an open system. So I liked that not only could we use all of the built-in CyberHoot training videos, which are fantastic, they're short, they're sweet, they get to the point for our clients, but we're able to insert other videos that we might find value for our staff to get some training from, or our clients have used it from anything for employee handbooks, various HR documents, internal training. We recently rolled out the modern workplace training from Microsoft. Using the tool. So it's the open aspect to it is one. The other big part of it is price. There was nothing that could touch CyberHoot in terms of the price and the ability that we had to mark it up for our clients. And it just works. It's worked from day one. And, it's not something we have to think about. It's something that we're very lucky and fortunate to have it there for our clients. But it's not something that we have to get in and manage. There's no manual you need to read. Right out of the gate, you can get this product deployed for your clients and get it working. So, we did evaluate other products, but to me, there isn't anything out there that touches CyberHoot.
Thanks for that, Tim. Okay, we have 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left. Let me see if thank you for that great question. Is there a solution against vishing, says Siddharth Rajagopal, voice-based social engineering attacks? So there's a solution for anything in this tool. I'll give you an example. I had a client, I'm a vCISO for a number of clients, and they said, come January 1st, we need CCPA training. And went to their standard LMS that they already had in place, said, where's your CCPA training? They didn't have any. And they said, well, we're working on it, but it's not ready. The company that I represented as a vCISO, or a virtual chief information security officer, said, we need it now because we're going to take calls from California residents about our privacy. So I went to YouTube. I found a couple of good overviews of CCPA. I put them into the CyberHoot product. I created questions and answers. And not only that, explanations for why the question matters. And we published to that client in about an hour. And so for vishing, there's videos already in CyberHoot about vishing. We just wrote a blog article about vishing, I think last week. So if you go to cyberhoot.com/blog and look for vishing, you'll see it's one of our most recent blog articles. Right now, we have a 2-part series on cyber insurance, what it covers. And next week on Tuesday, we'll publish what it doesn't cover and why you need to be concerned about certain things when buying cyber insurance. We do a weekly blog. So we have 52, hundreds of blogs and newsletters and things of that nature. We're all about educating you. So that's in there. Vishing is covered. Tim, how about efficiency in managing it over time?
I don't hear anything about the management of CyberHoot. I would say out of the 70% of our clients that have it rolled out, it's probably, Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's an 80-20 split where probably 80% of it is self-managed by the clients. 20% we manage ourselves.
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit more 50-50 on the management side, client to Neoscope. But here's the thing. I would say that you, with 80%, 70 to 80% penetration of your clients, your team at Neoscope spends 10 to 30 minutes a week in aggregate dealing with things. And the big thing that they're dealing with right now is about to go away. They're adding and removing users. And I think that CyberHoot has a new version coming out in today is October 1st, this month, that includes AD integration. So at that moment, that 20 to 30 minutes a week to add a user, remove a user that's manual today is going away. So the efficiency, when I read or talk to my MSP owners, I have one client that said I did more in CyberHoot in this afternoon than I did a year with this other product. I'm not going to badmouth any other products, but it's extremely efficient. And every manual step we have worked very hard to remove. How CyberHoot is different from other security products. This is probably the last question we can answer because we're running out of time. Go to our booth if you have other questions, and Ty is there manning it right now. He can answer your questions. You'll be able to schedule time with me. On the next slide, the final slide, is how you can do that. You can email me, Craig at CyberHoot. We can book time together, and I can go over it. The reality is that CyberHoot is different in 3 ways. We're passwordless, instant access to training. We're open, and we're fully automated on management escalations. Managers get notified when employees don't do their training or their assignments, and we're a cybersecurity program as a service. So thank you all for your time. Come visit the booth. And Tim, thanks for taking time out of your vacation for us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
My pleasure.